would you like to start by just letting everyone know? So, what do you do and who do you help for anyone that's watching that isn't familiar with your work?
Yes. Hi everyone who is watching now or the recording, and thank you once again for inviting me. My name is Lia, and I'm a community builder. So basically, what I do is I help mainly small brands and small companies or like solopreneurs in different spaces, but mostly in the holistic space, to build their brand communities. And basically, my role is around consulting, sometimes it's freelancing, and I just also provide tips on how to build a community in a very conscious and mindful way. Just because I also have a background in like yoga teaching, and I'm facilitating even circles at home, like women's circles and cacao ceremonies. And for me, it's very important to blend both things and to always keep in mind the mindfulness of what we do, especially when we're building community.
Mm, beautiful. And how did you get started in all of this? And sort of why? What drew you into community building and all consciously as well?
Yeah, so this is actually like a question that if you ask any community builder, I think like they will all tell you that they came into the space by accident, which was also true for
Mhm.
me. Because I am originally from Bulgaria, but I was living in Vienna in Austria. And there, after my graduation from university, I was just applying for different positions in different startups. And I just saw this community manager position. I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. There is some social media in it. So this
Mm,
is like, would it be interesting for me. And when I started, it was really like, at first it was a bit, so how to say, a bit basic, like the role that I had. I was just answering some emails, some support tickets. Like at certain point, it became even a bit boring, and I was like, okay, there should be something more in the community building space. And I started really diving deeper, reading a lot of resources. Like I did a course for it. I really wanted to go deeper into the subject and find out more about what is actually community building. So I reshaped the whole position in the company. Like I started doing different events, I started engaging people in the Facebook group, created different programs like brand ambassadors. I even organized an online summit. So really reshaped this thing. And it was very interesting because in the same time when I started my job as a community builder, I actually started my own spiritual journey. So
mm,
I met my first yoga teacher, and I was introduced to the chakra system, to yoga. Then I dove deeper into like masculine, feminine energy, the feminine cycle, like all of these subjects. And it was like my journey in community building was developing at the same time with my spiritual journey. So
mm,
they from the beginning were very like intertwined, and I
mm,
couldn't like just focus on one or the other. Like I saw how they're both benefiting themselves simultaneously. So that's why when I quit my job in Vienna and I moved back to Bulgaria to start my own business. I decided that I really want to like be a consultant that is like helping people build communities in this more mindful and conscious way, which is
mhm.
I'm taking this like knowledge from my spiritual journey, from my yoga teacher training, and so on. Yeah.
Cool. That's really beautiful, and it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to like separate the two once you're doing them both
Yeah.
at the same time, especially for communities because it's all like people centric as well. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And for me, it was like, when you take care of other people and when you're really step into this role of like leading other people and being there for other people, more or less, I think you should focus also on your personal journey, even if it's
Mhm.
not like spiritual, or also the self-development journey, just to find out more about yourself, because otherwise, like at certain moment, you stop serving in the best way you can. And I really saw
Mhm.
how this is both connected, and I was like, okay, like it makes sense, because what I'm doing for myself with my own practice in my own spiritual journey, then I implement for others in my community building practice. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I resonate with that a lot for my own entrepreneurial side because I started like just blogging and online writing and things. That
Hmm.
was sort of my first jobs, and I very quickly realized that I had to look after myself first
Yeah.
before I could to be able to support myself in that entrepreneurial journey because it is so much energy. So yeah, I did that before going into the yoga thing, and that kind of actually led me into more of the spiritual stuff as well, like starting the entrepreneurial thing. But I think a lot of people watching, because there's a lot of yoga teachers, they've already started that spiritual thing, so you're already a step ahead, and that will definitely support you in your entrepreneurial journey, anyone watching. Um, when you decided to first leap out and do your own business, how did you feel about that? Was it like excited, nervous? Like, how was that experience?
Um,
And what made you decide to do your own business?
yes, so when I quit, so basically I was a bit like forced to quit just because I wasn't able to do remote work. And in this
Mm,
moment, like I really started reflecting and I was like, okay, I really want to have the freedom, like to travel, to be more flexible in how I want to work, how I want to build my days. Just because I was really experiencing like this very scheduled date, times,
mm,
and I was really like stressed about it. So I was like, okay, I really want to have my like ownership of my own time and of my own like like tasks and everything. Um,
mhm,
so really that's why I like decided to become like a solopreneur. And at first I was very confused actually, like I didn't have any idea like should it be something around community building, should it be something around like the yoga teaching and like the women's circle facilitation. Like I was really unclear, and this lasted a long time, to be honest. Like this lasted
mhm,
a couple of months for me to just see the signs and see what is resonating most. And I'm still sort of like juggling both just because I see that they're both serving me personally in a way, but also other
mhm,
people. But first, I was very, very scared because there were many changes happening in my life. Like I moved back home. I was like facing this like my hometown after 6 years of living abroad. I was supposed to like do my business by my own, and there are so many changes, and it felt quite overwhelming. But also, it felt very inspiring because I was like, okay, like I have the freedom and I have the authority of my life to do what I want, and it felt really, really beautiful. Yeah.
mhm. How did you sort of overcome some of those challenges and find sort
Um,
of clarity?
yes. So, what one of the biggest supports that I got was I was working with a business coach actually.
Mm,
When I started, she really helped me define what exactly I want to do and how to do it. Really, it helped me define my business vision, business purpose, everything around
mm,
my business. Also, even like my identity as a solopreneur, everything. And it was very supportive just to know that there is somebody um, who has been there and who knows what I'm going through. Because what I was really challenged about was that my friend group at this time, they were mainly employed, so nobody was really resonating
mm,
with what I was going through. And for me this was really like also a bit depressing because I was feeling also very alone in this. And
mm,
when I started working with my business coach, then I slowly started meeting more and more people. Like I started putting myself in new environments, in new situations, just to meet people who resonate with my current journey. And this really
mhm,
helped me. Like I think the people factor was very essential because I feel that when we are going through challenges and we are by ourselves, it feels much more heavy, and it feels really more challenging than it has to be. And
mhm,
when I found my people, like this really served me and they really supported me. And of
mm,
course, like my own spiritual journey and my spiritual practice, I think this was also something very important because I feel that, and I'm sure that everybody who is watching resonates with this. When you start your own business, there are a lot of internal processes that are being activated, and you really need to
mm,
sit and work with yourself and be really gentle with yourself and have the tools to do that. So these were the two things that really saved me this time. Yeah.
mm. That's nice. So, is there any point that you got like close to burnout in that, or did you manage to kind of pull that out by sort of the support network?
Um, So I basically got burned out, like I think it was in November or December
Mm,
last year, just because I was so excited by the new opportunities that were coming,
mm,
especially in the
mm,
summer. I met many amazing people. I started doing many collaborations. And sometimes from this excitement, especially if it's something new, you just don't really think about the consequences, especially on your energy and on your body. And I
mhm,
remember in October, I really focused on doing a lot of like shadow work, working a lot of with myself. And this with the work stress really led me to burnout. And in
mm,
November, I had a very difficult time. I really isolated myself. I couldn't. I even had to say no to a lot of like arrangements that I did in the past, just because I felt that I didn't have the energy and that it was really, instead of like inspiring me and really giving me energy like to do it, I was really feeling very overwhelmed and stressed, and I didn't want to do certain things. So it was a
mhm,
very also like it was a very good experience for me to work with my boundaries and to know where to what to say no, when to say no, to know what is my limit, and that I don't have to always like do everything on the maximum, but to leave a little bit of
mhm,
space for myself just in case something like is not going well. So it was, yeah, it was definitely, I feel, even though burnouts are very hard on our nervous system and on our physical body and everything, um, when you go through them, then you really understand how important it was as from the journey. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. And I think it also just reinforces all of those, it definitely reinforces all the self-care stuff,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
how important that is.
Yeah.
And not to take too much on next time sometimes is definitely
Yeah.
lesson.
Yeah. And it
Oh,
was very interesting because, like, when you say with the self-care stuff, I saw in this moment how sometimes I'm taking the self-care stuff also as a bit of a obligation and something that I
mm,
have to do. And I was feeling how it really, like, for example, I'm working the whole day. In the evening, instead of like giving myself some time to relax, to watch something, to read a book, I was like, okay, I need to do some personal like work or some like
mm,
rituals or whatever. And I realized how instead of them giving me energy and like healing me, they were really exhausting me. And I was okay, like I need
mm,
to also limit those kind of things. So it was really yeah, just something that showed me what is okay and what not, and how to really understand myself and not feel guilty, for example, if I decide to, for example, sit and watch like a movie in the evening instead of like doing
mm,
certain spiritual practice or whatever, and
mm.
just to find a balance between both. Yeah.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I've definitely done that as well because it's a lot of work doing some of the things sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to turn off.
Yeah. And
And that's still part of like your spiritual ritual as well, recognizing that within yourself and what you
yeah.
actually need in the moment.
Yeah. And I think
Mm,
sometimes we tend to go so much into this, like, rabbit hole of like
mhm,
more shadow work, more digging deeper, and
mhm,
so on and so on. And sometimes it's just good to stop and just do the most basic thing ever. Like that is
mhm,
like so far from this, so like the whole spiritual realm, because of course it's important that we look into ourselves, but for me it's very important also to not forget that we are human and we are people
mhm,
and we have to live this experience, and there these, especially these things, are somehow also not nurturing ourselves. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's beautiful. Um, Before we jump off today, do you have any last advice that you would like to share with new yoga teachers that are just starting out?
Yeah, well, like from what I also like shared to you now, I think for me the biggest advice is to really say no and to learn like to set boundaries. I feel that especially when we are beginning something new, we feel a bit scared to turn out like certain propositions for collaboration, for projects or
Mhm,
so on, because we think that like we will miss an opportunity. But what I saw that when I'm saying yes to many things, I actually don't leave space for things to which are more aligned to come my way. So it's very important to learn to say no and to stay in the discomfort and trust that this discomfort at some moment will become comfortable, and just really
Mm-hmm.
go back to yourself in these moments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a beautiful segue into your upcoming presentation that you're going to be having at the All Mats Taken Summit, which is in like less than 2 weeks now, which is
Yes.
very exciting. And
Yes.
that's the titled Conscious Community. So as inside, so outside. So it's all about helping yoga teachers grow their community, but also looking after themselves in the process. So I think that's going to be really useful. Is there anyone in particular that you would recommend should come and watch this presentation?
Yeah, like I think the presentation is suitable for any yoga teacher who is like interested in building community, and even for yoga teachers who already have community, because sometimes I see that there are people who are building their communities, they have a like very successful community, but like at certain moment when this community is growing or is already like at its peak or whatever, like they don't feel this like inner satisfaction. Suitable especially for people who already have their community, just to understand how to manage like serving others while keeping balance in themselves and in their internal world. And there are certain specifications that I will talk about when it comes to building a community, because of course we have the self-care tools, especially if we are in the holistic space, but there are certain things that are very suitable for community building. So I'll be really talking about these challenges and just putting a lot of attention on how we can overcome them, which tools are exactly suitable for these challenges.
Yeah, awesome. I'm very excited to be sharing that. And if anyone is watching this and you haven't registered yet, I'm sure you can go to either of our bios and you will find links for that and you can sign up and it's a free ticket. So hopefully you can all join us and I'm looking forward to connecting with you more over the summit. Thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much, and I'm also looking forward to like everybody joining the summit. And also, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me.